Hello, everyone. Melinda Russell here with Women's Motorsports Network. And it's my extreme pleasure on this beginning to the Memorial Day weekend that my guest today is Lori Waran. And Lori is the track president at Richmond. And so I'm going to read you a little bit about Lori if you don't know. She's had a very exciting and interesting career. So she launched her career with Sodexo Marriott in the Southwest Harbor of Washington, D.C. Lori Collier Waran started her management profession in hospitality with a dinner cruise company, Spirit Cruises. That sounds like a lot of fun. I want to hear about that. Entertaining government dignitaries, professional sports team, and corporations both inside and outside the Beltway became a way of life. After 8 years, Lori and her family moved to her hometown of Richmond, Virginia, where she joined Auto Trader. We're all familiar with that, and started her nearly 20-year career in the media and communications industry. Shortly thereafter, Landmark Media tapped Lori to take the helm of the Richmond Alt Weekly Style Weekly as publisher, where Lori led the team for 15 years. She was the youngest publisher in the United States for an alternative weekly at that time. In 2020, Lori was asked to lead the team at Virginia Business Magazine and Media as Associated Publisher and Chief Revenue Officer. Building audiences and innovating has been a skill well honed by Lori throughout her career, which is why most recently NASCAR tapped Lori to take the helm at Richmond Raceway as the first female track president in 76 years. She is thrilled to engage loyal fans and new fans and create an iconic fan experience for years to come. Lori's used to living life in the fast lane with her husband of 24 years and two sons, one in college at Virginia Tech and one in high school at Hanover High School, all of whom drive too fast. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And they do indeed drive too fast. They need to slow down, or or I'm going to spend all of my work salary on tickets for them.
Yeah, and insurance.
And insurance, indeed.
Insurance is probably worse than the tickets at some point, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Melinda. I appreciate it.
I'm so thrilled to have you. So, Lori, we've got a short amount of time. We're going to pack a lot into it. You've done a lot of interesting things in your career. And when I read through that resume type that they sent me to let me know a little bit more, it makes me see that careers are a progression. We start out here and we move up and we move here and we move here and we meet people and we network. And that is, I think, from reading that, how NASCAR probably had their eye on you at some point and found you to be the president at Richmond. Would that be the correct?
I would say that is entirely correct. I think one of the things is you do meet people and you stay connected, and you continue to reach out. You reach backwards and you reach forwards continually. I've just continued to stay connected to the people that I've found interesting and fascinating, and I wanted to learn from a lot of those people along the way. And I think that's what's led me into different pathways along my career. For some reason, cars and transportation has been the common theme, whether it's been a cruise ship or Auto Trader or now NASCAR. I've just, for some reason, that's been the consistent theme, ironically. But it's been a fun journey for sure.
So now, was your family or your dad, anyone, a big racing fan or a car enthusiast?
My grandparents actually lived a couple of blocks away from Richmond Raceway. And my grandfather couldn't always afford to come down to see a race, and Richmond Raceway used to be the home for both horse racing and stock car racing. And he would come down here to park cars so that he could afford to see all the events going on here. And so, as a little girl, there were very few people that I admired more than my grandfather. So I sort of trailed along behind him, whether he was down here at the racetrack or fishing or doing any of his hobbies. And so I would help him park cars. I was very little help. But he would sometimes, as he was parking cars, directing them, I would be on his shoulders, helping him park the cars as well. And it was just a fun time. And those are the memories that you sort of hold near and dear to your heart. So when I come here to the racetrack, even now, the sights and the smells take me back to the time when I was with my grandfather. And so, yeah, I think those were the memories that I just hold near to me. And that's what I want to recreate here for other families now. And that's what drives me every day to make this a special place for others.
So tell me, what's different about your job as president at NASCAR from the other jobs that you've had? What are some of the duties and things that you have to do now that maybe you haven't done before?
Nearly everything is different now. It's a very unique job. Every day showing up here, there's something new. But I think what I just mentioned before, the passion that drives me because it motivates me each day. The memory of being here with my grandfather is a unique, driver. And that's something I didn't have in my past in media or in hospitality. It's a wonderful motivator to get up and go, to make sure that I am able to help create the memory for others. And so that's exciting to be able to do that along with the team here. And the team here is just incredibly talented. So seeing their drive and passion also helps drive me. But I think that's what's unique, and that's special. But there's not a sort of routine that you get to come to every day at a racetrack. There's always something new and different that you show up to.
I'm sure of that. I couldn't even imagine on a daily basis what kind of things come across your desk that you're like, what?
Right. But that's the exciting stuff too, right? That's the good stuff. So I like it.
Yeah, because, I could never have worked in a factory or done day after day the same thing. I like to have, in fact, I have too many things on my plate, and you probably do too, because that's what keeps me motivated and interested in what I do. And so I'm assuming that's kind of how it is to be the president at Richmond.
Correct. And, other than the 2 weekends for the NASCAR races, we also have about 120 other events at the racetrack. We have expo halls and we have a concert venue, and we put on about 16 to 20 concerts each year. It's an amphitheater. So we stay busy year round. We're 365. And so, yeah, it's a pretty happening place at Richmond Raceway Complex. So
yeah,
it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been a real treat.
I'm sure it has. So what was your reaction or when NASCAR came calling? Were you like jumped at the chance? Did you have to think it over? Or were you shocked that they called?
Yes. Yeah, all of the above. As you read that incredibly long bio that was a little painful. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, it was great. It was great.
My history had been in media and a little bit in hospitality. And so I had been, helping to grow audiences and rebrand legacy or organizations that had, had some challenging times because they were legacy institutions in our region, but had just needed a refresh and a rebrand to remind the area here that they were an incredible institution. They just needed a little refresh. And so when NASCAR called, I actually thought they were calling regarding marketing and media. I was interested and intrigued, but I had no idea they would be calling about leading the team here. So I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, but I was certainly curious and wanted to continue the conversation. And when they said, you want to join us for a casual dinner, when we come to town, of course I continued to be curious. NASCAR doesn't really do anything casually, you know.
I was thinking that when you said that.
But it was an incredible dinner, and the team, the executives at NASCAR are some of the most down to earth, kind, forward thinking people. And from that point on, I knew I wanted to be a member of the team if they would have me. And, you know, from the way in which they vision out the future years of NASCAR and the direction that they were taking it, it was awe-inspiring. And the France family could not be more kind and down to earth, and they're very caring people, and I wanted to be a part of something that that they had. So it was nice.
So what were some of the things, and you don't have to give away any secrets, but what were some of the things that you've done or that they wanted you to do to, you know, get Richmond back up and going, maybe in a different direction, a rebranding, whatever? What were some of your main things that you've done since you've been there?
Well, you know, in order for us to stay the same, somebody told me this a while ago, and it stuck with me. And so this is not my new idea, by the way, but someone said to me, in order for something to stay the same, it has to change. And that sounds strange, but it stuck with me. And as a longtime fan of NASCAR racing, I know I want the sport to stay. I want it to be here for a long time, right?
Right.
But in order for it to stay, we have to keep growing. And so that statement stuck with me. And in order to do that, we have to reach out to new audiences. We have to engage new fans and make sure that we are here for a long time. And so I knew that was something that we were going to be tasked with, especially in Richmond, because unfortunately we had not been growing in this market, and that was going to be a challenge. And I think that's why NASCAR reached out, because that's something that I had been doing in my past lives of my career lives, is that I had been reaching out and engaging new audiences and growing them successfully. And so they wanted someone who necessarily did not come back from a sports background,
right,
but did have success in growing audiences and creating relevancy again. And they wanted to try something new. Right. And I appreciated that innovation and that new direction, and certainly appreciated that they were taking a chance. And I take that very seriously. And I also, you know, again, really was a NASCAR fan. My husband, while my grandfather introduced me to the sport, I didn't really understand the sport that I was watching when I was a little girl. But my husband is the one who taught me the sport when we first met. And we would go and see the races, and he really explained the sport to me. So I had, like I mentioned, I'd been a fan, and I wanted to see it stick around for a very long time, for other families to enjoy for another 75 years. So.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that, you know, it took them that long, I guess, 76 years or 75, whatever it was, to, you know, have a woman take the lead. But we're seeing that more and more, you know, across NASCAR. We see more and more women leading NASCAR tracks. I became, you know, connected with Julie at Phoenix because my daughters live in Phoenix, and I've been to that racetrack more often than any other track in NASCAR, because they have 2 races a year, and I always plan my visits around the NASCAR race to my daughters.
Yeah, Julie is incredibly supportive. She's whenever I've had a question, whenever I've had an idea, Julie has been, you know, one of the first people I've called, and she picks up the phone almost immediately, no matter how busy she is. And I'm positive she sleeps, you know, a half hour a night.
Especially with the Chicago race coming up.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. She's been incredibly supportive, you know, and I'm not I don't believe that NASCAR or people, within the organization have been purposeful in not putting women in leadership roles. That
No.
hasn't been intentional. It just, the people who've potentially been the most qualified maybe have just been men. So I don't think there was any purpose or intent behind it. I just think that it just hasn't worked out. And maybe that's something that maybe I'm wrong in that manner, but
No, I think
I
that's
like,
correct.
yeah, I like that they are being purposeful now
Yeah.
in looking in new directions, but I don't necessarily think there was any sort of intent behind it either.
No, I don't think so either. I think that women are just coming to the forefront more and more
Yes, I
in
agree.
motorsports. And, that I love that. I'm the Women's Motorsports Network. And so,
Right.
that's great. And, you can't always, in any kind of industry, you can't always look at the people who are already involved in that industry. We
Right.
need to look outside of that, which they did with you and they've done with others, because it becomes the same old, even if it's a new person in that position. And so the new ideas and bringing, things that you've done from other opportunities that you've had, it just brings like a breath of fresh air to everybody in NASCAR. And some of the things that they're doing, the Chicago race, I went to Los Angeles to the Coliseum for the first race. And there's just things that you're like, we would have never thought these things would have happened, you know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Well, the discussions that are happening at the top levels and even elsewhere within the organization are just more robust when there are different ideas at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, no matter when there's different demographics at the table. And I think it's important to have lots of different voices. And I think that a lot of people in NASCAR at the leadership level, at the top of the leadership level,
Yeah.
are changing direction in that manner. And it's nice to hear, which is one of the reasons I joined the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk to you just a minute about women in motorsports. That's kind of
Sure.
the theme that I have. One of the things that I was working on, in fact, I at the time was working with someone at Richmond. And if you ask me her name, I can't tell you. I'm sorry. But in 2018, we were working on maybe doing some events at NASCAR tracks to encourage women who have not been to a race before to come out and check it out. And so I was working with a number of tracks, NASCAR tracks, and in 19, and we were going to have some events in 2020. And then we know what happened there, don't we?
Sure.
So that all kind of fell apart. And that's still something that I'd love to do, because more and more women are coming to the races. When you sit in the grandstand, you look around, there's more and more women all the time. But there's also a huge group of women who might live a few miles from the racetrack in Richmond or wherever and have never been there because they think it's a man's sport. They don't see the excitement and the things that you and I know about racing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch it on television, it's one thing, but it's nothing like being at the track, hearing, seeing, and smelling all the sights, the sounds, everything. And so my goal was always to reach out, have an event at Richmond or wherever, and reach out to women's groups in that area and bring them to the track and open up our sport to women who would have never ventured to come to the racetrack. And I still think that is something that we need to keep in the back of our minds and do, because we want new fans. We can't continue to operate our tracks, as you well know, if we don't have new fans coming to the track. And I'm not talking about just the younger generation. Right. I'm talking about new fans of any age.
Yes,
and so,
I agree.
How do you see us reaching out, to groups all over the country, whatever it is, around that racetrack, is that something that you think is a possibility? How would you go about getting new fans to come to Richmond?
Well, I can tell you how I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
In the past 10 months since I've started the job, it was back in July, I am talking and meeting with as many people. I mean, we're talking, I'll speak at any pancake breakfast,
Yeah.
get up at, and eat any green bean, almondine chicken dinner, and speak with any group. And I've listened, I've eaten a lot of chicken, green bean, almondine dinners, to ensure that people understand that this track is everyone's track. And literally the words everyone's track is what I've said no less than 1 million times. I want to make sure that everyone feels welcome to come here, and that it is not just for one demographic, it's for everyone. Because right around this track, in fact, I'm sure you've been to Richmond Raceway.
I have not, but it's on my bucket list.
All right. Well, Melinda, we're going to get you here.
I'll get there.
Okay. Well, around this track, we sit within a number of neighborhoods. Right behind it, there's a neighborhood, and it was clear to me that the neighborhoods around us that were surrounding us did not feel welcome in many cases to come, and many had never been. So we wanted to make sure that we reached out and made sure that people felt welcome. The track so I've been talking to 1 million people, giving a speech there, welcoming, attending, and reaching out to people and groups that had never been to our track. The neighborhood associations around here, we make sure to meet with at least once a month and let them know that they are here when we've held community parties and gatherings here. Free food, DJ. We invite the police, the fire, and EMS. They shoot basketball with the kids and the neighborhood association groups, and we just invite them here. It's free. And then, we've done posters. We did a festival poster that said that it was done by a local artist. In fact, let me see if I have it. Hold on. It was just 2023 Richmond Raceway, and it says everyone's track.
I love that.
So we had it all around the city, boutiques, restaurants, you name it. It's still hanging up in many cases around here, and we're trying to get the message that this is a track for everyone. The city is for everyone, the region's for everyone, and this track is for everyone. To the extent that we want to make sure this is a welcoming place. The entire track is surrounded by fencing, of course. But when I got here, I noticed that it had barbed wire at the top of the fence. And
ew.
I was scratching my head. Why do we have barbed wire on our fence? That doesn't make sense to me. We are not keeping people out, and we're not keeping people in. So why do we have barbed wire? So the first thing I asked our facilities manager and his team to do is take the barbed wire down. That is the least welcoming thing that we could have around the track.
It makes you think of what? A prison.
Yeah, exactly. A concentration camp of some.
Exactly.
It seems very odd to me.
Yeah.
Correct. So we're still finding places that it has it. So I don't think it's 100% down, but it's mostly down, and we're still finding it. But that was one of the first things we did. It took months. In fact, my husband was out here on some weekends with the team trying to take it down, because it is not easy to take barbed wire down.
No.
It's been up for decades. But to answer your question, it's a long way to answer it. But those are some of the things that we've been doing to try to make it open up to new audiences and engage.
Yeah. And then also, we have to welcome the kids. And so NASCAR does a great job, I think, of welcoming kids. The ticket prices for kids, for one thing. Sometimes it's free for them to come to the race, depending on their age. And we see more and more kids. And when the TVs spanning the crowd. You know, they hone in on kids because kids are so cute anyway. And so, you know, I have 15, almost 16 grandchildren, and I want them to love motorsports. And
Yes.
my granddaughter, in fact, we're going to watch her race tonight. She's 18 and she's going to graduate from high school here June 1st. She and her sister have raced. My son raced. And so we want families to come out and bring their children, bring grandparents, parents, and children, right? We want the whole generations to come.
Completely. Yeah, exactly. And it goes back to what I was saying, Matt. The memories that I have of my childhood with my grandfather are some of the best, and the smells and what I ate here with him and the time with him, that's the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And if we as a team can help recreate that for other families, you know, that's what this is all about. That's why we do this. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lori, I know we are on a time crunch today a little bit. I could talk to you for a long time because
I know, Melinda. Do I need to clear my calendar?
Yeah, we need to reschedule and have another conversation. But so we've got to get going here to get you on to your next opportunity of the day. But what would be something that you would want to close out our discussion with? For the people that listen to this, what do you want them to know about Richmond Raceway? Why should I come to Richmond and watch a race?
Well, I think all the reasons that I've said earlier, we want to make and create memories. The fans who've been coming, to those fans who've been coming for years, and there are a lot. And, you know, to first and foremost to those folks, thank you, because you are why we continue to do this. You know, you are the reason. And so thank you for your loyalty to Richmond. You know, I see them pulling up with their campers and unpacking, and, you know, the special passion that they have had to this place is unmatched. And just thank you. They're the reason that the stands keep standing and,
right.
and, you know, the racing keeps happening. And so I'm honored that they have chosen us. And then second, you know, why should someone come out and try us for the first time? Because we want to give them the best experience, not just on the track, but before they even get inside the bowl. You know, from the time that they pull onto the property, you know, I know our team is working so hard to make this an incredible experience that they're going to want to come back to year after year, race after race. And that's pretty unmatched in other sports. So I'm excited. I can't wait for July 30th.
I know it's going to be coming quicker than you can imagine. I know that for sure. And gosh, I'm going to circle that on my calendar and see if I can get there.
Please.
Yeah. So I just want you to know, I just appreciate your time. I know it's a really busy time. It's Memorial Day weekend. And so I'm sure you could have been somewhere else doing something else, but I do appreciate hearing, you know, more about Richmond and about what you're doing. And I want to talk to you again, because I think, you know, we could probably collaborate on something and work on getting some more women to the racetrack for sure. So
that'd be great. Yeah. Well, thanks to our troops Memorial Day weekend. And
yes.
And thank you for all you're doing, Melinda. You are just, you're helping all of us out here too. So thank you. Thanks for your time today too.
I try for sure. It's my passion. If you don't live your passion or work your passion, then, you know, it's just, I could be retired. I could be knitting or scrapbooking or doing whatever, but that doesn't keep me going. This is what keeps me going. And it's the people like you that I meet that I would have never met before. Yeah. And to me, that's what this is all about. So, Lori, thank you again.
You bet.
We will have you on again when we can talk a little longer. And I just want to hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. And couldn't you put a rev limiter or some kind of limiter on those cars for your boys?
A restrictor plate on them.
A restrictor plate. That's what I
There
was
we go.
trying to think of. A restrictor plate. There you go.
No
I'm
kidding.
sure you know somebody that could do that for you. But anyway,
I'm sure. Exactly.
yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I'm
Have a great
headed to
weekend.
the Indy 500 on Sunday.
Okay, perfect. Well, have a great time.
Excited about
Perfect.
that. So have
Yeah.
a great weekend, and I
Thank
will
you.
talk to you again soon.
Excellent. Thanks, Melinda.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.